So hey everyone, welcome back to Rebecca's Colouring Arts and Crafts. I'm really sorry for the lack of videos lately. I want to say sorry in advance if I missed something in this video, as I'm needing to do a voiceover due to YouTube all of a sudden deciding the royalty-free music I used in this video is copyrighted now. Don't ask me why, but as a result I have to re-record it now in the future, months after originally making the video. Also, basically, all the videos that are currently going up are pre-recorded from months ago too. So just to let you know, that's why some sound like further on. I'm still having hand and wrist issues, everything like that, but I'm just trying to do some stuff anyway, even with the issues still going on, just to, I guess, get back to it, because I really am missing it so much. So yeah, we're doing our Mythomorphia Medusa piece today. This is our final part, so yeah, big, I guess, times, because we're working on our final part of it, so it'll be finished soon. And yeah, this is kind of awkward doing a voiceover, so yeah. But I'm trying to judge when things are coming up, so if it sounds a bit off at times, it's because I'm trying to do that also. But yeah, so I'm just waiting to see. I'm hoping the pencil colours will show up like I've done. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I hope this turns out alright too. Okay, so it looks like it is going to work. So what I'm going to start with is my Prismacolor Black PC935, and I'm going to obviously you'll see in a bit, I'll zoom in closer so that we can see more of what we're doing. I'm just sort of following roughly what I said before, but edited a bit to suit current times. So there we go, edit, zooming in finally. So basically what I'm going to start with is the snake's mouth, and I haven't fully decided on the snake's eyes yet, and I'm considering leaving them white with the black snake slit eye. But as of yet, I haven't fully decided on this, but I'm thinking this is how I'd like to proceed. So, let's see. When am I going to actually start this thing? So, we're obviously starting with the snake's mouth. I also haven't decided on the teeth yet, but I'm just thinking a cream or a white. Obviously we'll get there, and we're going in with our Prismacolor Black PC935, and I'm going to fill some of the areas where you can see the dark shadows in the mouth of the snake. Obviously other colours will be added there later as we go. I really hope you'll enjoy this part anyway, being that it's our final part of our Medusa. And so basically just followed in the shadow and following in the shadows, but I'm going to add a bit under where the tongue goes, in and around the mouth, and in around the mouth and the tooth. Excuse me, this is my first voiceover, so yeah, with just a very light grey bit of shading with the black pencil. Excuse me, I'm just waiting till it gets to the next part to try and do this part. because it's a bit different to doing it when you're just doing it live kind of thing. So it's getting used to something new. No. So with our next snake mouth, we're doing a bit of light shadow around where he has done any shadows around the gums, but also where he has the dark shadows, it should be filled in darker with our black. And then we also have a bit of light shadow for where our final colour will go when we get to it, and also a bit of light shadow around the gums / teeth area. So I hope this is okay. I don't know why, I've got my nerves back completely because this is a new way of doing things. So, and I had to go and transcribe. The reason why I'm reading all this off kind of like this is because I had to go and transcribe the whole previous video due to the issues with YouTube and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's I guess good to try new things and learn new things. I'm not sure that this is better than doing it live. It kind of feels more awkward to me, but that's because it's my first time doing it. I hope it'll work out and you'll still be able to follow it and everything. I'm sort of not sure if this way is better than live, talking live. I don't know, let me know what you think anyway as to this way of doing it. It does take longer to do it this way with the voiceover and working out what I'm saying / what I'm doing, etc, etc, etc. So it is in some ways easier to do it live while I'm actually doing the colouring, but since it's what had to be done to be able to share this piece and I want to share it, we're doing what we're doing, I guess. But yeah, let me know what you think of it anyway. I hope it works out okay. So next we're coming in with our Prismacolor Magenta PC930, and I'm just going to bring this in over our black areas. And since I don't think we're going to get any other colours in here, basically I'm going to finish filling it in with our magenta for our snake's mouth. So it's just going to be our black and magenta colour for our snake's mouth. And I was thinking of doing like an ivory colour for the teeth, but I ended up deciding to just leave them white. And I do the tongue first, so the snake's tongue. And I really felt these pinkish tones would work with the pink and blue coloured snakes with like their mouth tones and stuff like that, and they kind of look a bit red anyway in pictures. And so we're just slowly working on our little snake's mouths with our magenta tone currently. And obviously I'm still using my cloth things, as you can tell, to try and minimize pencil color displacement onto my hand and wrist and that while I'm coloring. And our final little snake mouth here. So from what I noticed, I think there's 3 open snake mouths, and we're finishing those with our magenta, obviously. Sorry, I noticed some of these videos I get a little bit of the tip of my head in it, as you can see, and I don't mean to do that, but it's to do with the way the camera is zoomed, and obviously my head's just getting a little bit in the frame by accident as I'm doing it. So not really much I can do about it, but fortunately it doesn't stop you from seeing things. But yeah, it's nothing I deliberately do anyway by any means. It's kind of irritating to me whenever I see it, I'll be honest. So I'm hoping it's not too bad kind of thing, or it doesn't irritate you too much. But for me, when I see it, it's like, get your head out of the way. And so now we're going on to the inside tip of our snake's tongue with our magenta. So we obviously have quite a few little snake tongues here, and at the tip nearest the snake's mouth is where I'm going to do the tongues, and I've just found another bit of a snake's mouth up there, which will fill with our Prismacolor black and our magenta. We'll also fix up, there's a mist blue area of the pink snake whilst we're at it as well, that I do notice shortly from here. And so this piece is also about touch-ups this time, because there may be things you've missed or haven't done. So yeah, you'll notice, I just noticed the blue area that I've missed there. But it's sort of about touch-ups as well, since we're finishing off the piece this time and anywhere we've missed. So basically the colours we're going to use for fixing up our blue area of the snake is Prismacolor China Blue PC11000, Peacock Blue PC1027, Non-Photo Blue PC919 and Black PC935. I haven't actually written these colours down just because of the fact that we are doing touch-ups. If you want to sort of go back to a previous video where we've done the pink snakes and that, because I did a couple of those, you'll be able to find the colours written on there. I hope that's okay. I just decided I'm not going to go adding in a heap of as I do the little touch-ups this time, because it's sort of have described how to do that in previous videos, so it's sort of just using what we've covered in those previous videos to do the touch-ups this time and get that to work, I guess, kind of thing. So, and as you know, finishing up an image is all about the touch-ups or the little bits you've missed, blah blah blah. And then we're going back to our Magenta PC930, and we don't want to do it too dark, as we want a little bit of light area at the ends of the tongues, so we're going back to the snake tongues obviously, and also, as I said, closest to the inside of the mouth. It's also just making sure you get them all, as you may miss some due to the pattern and detail, but as you just saw me doing with the little bits of blue, this part is also about the fix-ups and just catching those little areas you may have missed or anything like that, and just doing that, which is why I thought, well, since it's the finishing up part and since I have covered that, it's nothing to do with all of you or anything. It's just I thought this time I wasn't going to particularly go into every time I do a colour fix-up or find something that needs fixing. I just decided that I wasn't particularly going to go into that each time I've missed something or whatever. Each time I swap pencil colours, like, it's just going to happen, and it's all about sort of judgment and stuff too, and just doing that as you can. So as you'll see, I'm fixing up a bit of the pink here just because it looked a bit light and things like that. So this part is a lot about the fix-ups or finishing little bits that you've missed or stuff like that too. And I just felt personally this time, since I sort of have covered those in previous videos, I didn't necessarily need to go into all those touch-ups this time, I guess, because I have explained how to do those in previous videos, and as a result I just felt better to just stick with our main colours that we're using. And if you've missed, you might not have missed those spots I've missed, but if you have, you can go back and find them in the other videos as well. So yeah. And yeah, yeah, I just touched up a bit of the black area that I found that I missed with my black Uniball Signo 0.7mm gel pen. As I was just talking about the corrections, well, I don't really need to go into that, but this is another one of those little corrections. I just felt better not to take your mind too much off the other bits as I do these corrections, because these are corrections I've missed, but you may not have missed. So, yeah, that's why I didn't also decided not to go into all the corrections, seeing it's nothing to do with not wanting to help or anything. I do want to help, but I just felt keeping on interrupting your train of thought with those little corrections probably isn't going to help in this case, because I know for me it can leave me more confused. And also, while we're using our black Uniball Signo 0.7mm gel pen, I've decided I might do the snake's eyes quickly as well. So I'm just waiting for it to happen. Come on, Nee. This is the thing about pre-recording or voiceovering in the future. It's like, why did I take so long to get to that part? But yes, so we're going to start with our snake's eyes here. And what we basically want to do is like a pointed sort of oval, so it's like a slit or a dragon's eye shape. And we're just going to leave white surrounding the slit. In the eyes, I quite like the contrast this makes and how it makes the eyes stand out. Yes, I did accidentally do a bit off camera without realizing I was too zoomed out to see that area that I was working on, so whoops. Yeah. Whoopsie daisies. As you'll see, I've just realized that I was off camera for some of the snake's eyes area. But yeah, and there's also, if you do accidentally go over like the wax coloured pencils a bit with your gel pen, if you work quickly enough, sometimes you are actually able to like with your fingernail, you are able to quickly, shall we say, remove the excess ink. If you push your fingernail and push it up off the wax quickly enough, you are able to remove that excess ink before it dries, but you do need to be quick. And I sort of realised as I'm doing this, in the end I kind of had the pointed slit eyes, kind of like Medusa, so it works. And then after this, after doing the slits of the eyes, I've decided I'm going to leave the teeth the same white as the eyes, as I said. And I also want to add an ivory colour to the tongue. Also, I think later on I'm still finishing the eyes, but I'm just adding bits to my transcribe as I go kind of thing to fix this up. But there is a set of eyes that I miss as well, but as I said, fix those things up as you go. That's partly why, well, as I said, why I decided I wasn't going to keep interrupting my train of thought or your train of thought as to the bits we're currently doing, because of the fact that I don't want it to be too distracting with constantly going off to each of the fix-ups, and there's so many little fix-ups that I'm finding here that I just feel better to not sort of go into those every time I do a little bit of a fix-up, because whilst I may mention it, it may not be a fix-up you need to do. It may be something I need to do. It's sort of, I guess, something that just happens naturally with finishing these pieces off, and obviously the more detailed there are, the more little bits that you might have missed, or the more little bits you might need to fix up. And yeah, this is where I discovered that I've missed a set of eyes. But yeah, basically I just decided not anything to do with you, but I figured, well, it made me think that was why I decided not to sort of cover all the fix-ups that I'm doing, just because you may be fix-ups that are on my piece but not yours, blah 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 blah. So I just felt better not to keep confusing you by doing fix-ups that are required on my piece but may not be required on yours. So yeah. So next, what we're going to go into now is our Prismacolor Premier Cream PC914, and we're just going to use this on the end of our snake's tongue, also covering the magenta that we put on the tip, and we want to put the cream completely over that area as well as the very tip of the tongue to finish off our snake's tongues. So, and I'm guessing that's a piece of black. I missed doing another fix up, but yeah. But yeah, so we're just, as I said, using the cream to go over our snake's tongue and the magenta we put previously on the tip. As I'm obviously explaining there, this is kind of why I find it a bit awkward doing the voiceover, because it's like something that I've previously recorded, and obviously I've been saying things, but I can't necessarily keep it totally connected, so I'm doing the best I can, but sort of, I guess when I'm live I can think of things to say easier and explain more about what's going on or talk about general everyday life, and yeah, I guess we just do the best we can. Yeah, I really hope you're enjoying it anyway. Yeah, I still can't believe this is the final piece of our Mythomorphia Medusa piece. It's kind of a good thing, but as you'll see, I am doing a lot of touch-ups, which is why I didn't keep swapping backwards and forwards between the pencil colours and numbers, and yeah, I hope that's okay anyway that I didn't do that. I didn't want to go confusing anyone with all the fix-ups and touch-ups that I have to do in my piece that may be different on yours. So if you, and there's a few times I've missed bits off camera because I haven't realised it's totally in frame, but yeah, yours may be different with the spots you've missed compared to mine, and so yeah, as I said, I really just felt it better to just skip the fix-up bits and focus on the main parts that we're doing to finish off the piece, rather than focusing on adding in every time I fix something up that may not relate to you, but it's related to me, and blah blah blah. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm really hoping this works. For some reason, whenever I try something new on my YouTube channel, I get really, really nervous about it. Like, I've been doing this for over 3 years now, but it's the first time I've had to do a proper voiceover recording using the headphones and the microphone on my laptop and blah, blah, blah. And so it's kind of like, I hope it works out okay. I love doing this, but I am kind of nervous. It took me forever to get this video redone again, but I felt I needed to share it because it is the final part, and I felt people would want to know how I finished it so they can also finish it themselves. And yeah, I kind of felt it was only fair to do this, but it did take a lot of time to have to redo it again due to whatever YouTube messed up, unfortunately. So I'm sorry it's taken so long to get to this piece, but just been doing the best I can. And so the final little thing that we're going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing, is with all the leaves / items, and I intend to fill them in with like some oranges and reds, and I'm trying to keep all these colours together where I can know and find them easily on my desktop space so I don't get too confused. It doesn't always work to try and keep them together in the colour groups or sections that we're going to use for things, but just we do the best we can. And also I find best to sharpen the pencils if blunt, or they need it, as I've been finding myself lately a sharper point is better for the smaller, finer details that you get. And yeah, excuse me if I get a bit husky here, it's a lot of voice recording to do in one go, so just bear with me. I'm just doing the best I can because I really felt that people would want to see the final part of it, Mythomorphia Medusa, and I didn't want to not share it, so yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed it all works out together, and I still can't believe we're only 24 minutes, so there may be some gaps from here on out where there's not a lot of talking, just because I am going to put music to it, but we've sort of got a bit of time to go with between things, so there may be some gaps where it's just music and not me explaining things, because I've already explained the majority, but obviously I will come in a bit as I can, kind of thing, or as needed, obviously for pencil colours and numbers and blah blah blah. But yeah, I really hope this works, and I hope you can follow it, considering it is something new that I'm having to do to try and be able to share this image with you due to YouTube messing things up with the royalty-free music. And so we want to bring in our Scarlet Lake PC923 now to start on our leaves and objects here. And I think I'm trying to work out where the light source is coming from again, and I think I've noticed at times I seem to change depending on the time. I can't always work it out, but it seems to have all worked in well together anyway, so it's obviously worked. And so obviously I've zoomed out a bit for a minute to look at things, and then I decided to zoom in again because I realize it's going to be able to show you how to do the things easier if I'm zoomed in rather than out. And what we want to do is we want to basically bring in our Scarlet Lake PC923. We want to bring that all along the areas where our shadow colours are going to go. Currently, as I say right now, I'm intending to try and leave space for 4 colours, but I end up using only 3 colours on these leaves because it just wasn't viable to use 4 colours. I always try to push the boundaries, as you know, with the colours in small spaces. But this is obviously our shadow colour, so it's not going to go on every spot. And we're just going to use it, or bring in our Scarlet Lake where there would be typical shadows on the image in the way from the way the light is coming from. So I think I was doing it from that upper corner down, if I remember correctly. And it's also about following some of the shadows that Kerby Rosannes has also already provided in the image. So you want to make sure that we sort of follow those colour tones too, so it works in as well and gives us some more depth. And as you can see, that's what I'm doing with the little leaf areas and things. And we're sort of, as I'll tell you now, as I was going to, I'm using orangish tones because I want to sort of keep it in that Halloween style colours. So I was trying to finish this for September or October last year, and unfortunately with my hand and wrist and foot and ankle and that, it didn't get done in that time. So I'm really sorry these are late, but I guess it's nearly Halloween again. But yeah, but I just thought instead of black for the shadows for a change, I would use a red, because obviously we've got our black background, and I just thought it would be interesting having those orangish tones to fit in against the greens and the pinks and the reds. I'm changing even my transcribe as I'm doing this, would you believe? So I'm trying to read it and say what I'm thinking. I feel so awkward. Yeah, I really, fingers crossed it works. But basically, even if you don't use all the colours you select, it's okay to do that. I guess that's what doing our colouring and art and being creative is all about, it's to do with making changes and adjustments that you want, or also making the best of your situation and what you're able to do. Really how I work is by altering and adjusting as I go, instead of feeling my choices are set in stone. I have had to learn not to be so perfectionist at times, because I do have that perfectionist streak at times, as you may have noticed sometimes when I get annoyed at things. So yeah, but sometimes I do try to do exactly what I want, only to feel disappointed about it when I can't fit everything in. But as I said, to do with my perfectionist streak and that, this has taught me that being creative is also about being flexible and adjusting things as it suits whilst you colour, and also adapting to the shadows Kerby Rosannes or another artist or author has provided, based on what you're doing, I guess you could say. Also, I find with me, it's about trying to make things look as natural as possible through combining shadows, details and shading that have been provided by the author, but also about being open to adding in more details when you feel like it needs more details, like as you saw I did with snake scales. I went and added in snake scales to every inch of the snake. But I also find if you can achieve this and try not to be too judgmental about your colouring, then you're onto something good, and obviously you will like and enjoy whatever you're doing. I also want to recommend, don't get impatient or frustrated if it doesn't work out straight away. Sometimes it does take some alterations and changes to make it something that you like or that you enjoy. If it doesn't necessarily work out straight away, as I keep telling everyone, it does take time, patience and practice to not only know what you're doing and the techniques you're using, but also to learn to trust your gut and instincts as to what you're doing. So I use that a lot in mine, and since I've been doing this YouTube channel, I can see I'm still even improving on things I do compared to my early videos, and now I've made a big change in my colouring and my art and the way I do things and how I do my shading and stuff like that. So it's all about, I guess, taking things as you go and learning from those things and adjusting and learning to accept things and your mistakes, and realise that even if I make mistakes now, I'll improve later down the track. I don't necessarily have to be perfect or perfectionist, as I tend to try and do straight away here and now. It's just about, I guess, yeah, that time, patience, practice, but also being patient with yourself, trusting yourself, realising if you make a mistake, this is something I've had to do at times, particularly sometimes with my personal pieces or sometimes with these pieces where I've had no idea how to continue or where to go, or I've made a mistake with the colours or something and I've had to step back for a bit and I just leave it open on my desk, and I keep, every time I walk past I look at it and I just keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking, how can I fix that up? What have I done? You'll notice in the past I've said I don't tend to use erasers once I'm onto the colour bits, just because of the fact that I find the erasers, when I do make mistakes, it means that I can't get the colours totally accurate in the past or whatever. You'll also notice at times I've gotten annoyed because I've gone over the lines or stuff like that. Even though I have done that, I've learnt, for me personally, using an eraser isn't the solution to try and fix up those areas where I've gone over the lines. Instead, it just damages the tooth of the paper and means you can't do as good a job with the other colours. So now what I do, I just leave those colours there, and typically once you colour over the other areas with the colour you desire, you can't necessarily tell those mistakes so much. But for something like, if I did something like a colour that I wasn't necessarily thinking of doing now, I just try, and that I end up thinking, oh, I don't know that quite works or whatever. Now, rather than stopping it and trying to erase it, I'll just keep working with that colour, and instead change it to be the colour that I was going to use instead, and I would just alter the image based on that new colour decision, even though it may not have been something that I particularly liked in the beginning. Typically I end up liking it just because I do try to be flexible to make those changes and adjustments now, I guess you could say. So it has been a big learning experience for me too, and there still are things that I am learning how to do and trying to practice and stuff. Like, I still haven't got the Koh-i-Noor triple tone pencils learned yet. I'm still learning things like I can do gems and that, but I'm still learning doing gems. I'm still learning about if I want to put some white colour over areas or anything like that. And this is obviously a spot where I've discovered like a blue area of the snake's belly again missing that I fix up. But yeah, as I said, you can find that. I did say the numbers on this video, but you can also find the numbers on previous videos to fix that up. But yeah, for me, doing this YouTube channel, whilst people think that I'm greatly experienced and I know all this stuff, I still don't know everything, and it still is a learning experience even for me. Like, people ask me about how I choose my colours, how I do all of that, and I guess, like, whilst I've had trouble describing it before, and I've sort of said I guess it is a bit of natural talent for me, and even my mum says I've got natural talent with colours, and I think that's partly to do with like my Asperger's, and it's like a special skill that I've gotten with regards to that with my art. And at the same time, I guess for me it's also, I guess thinking about it now, it's sometimes taking different colours to pieces of paper to experiment or play with, even if it's something way out there. Sometimes, as you've seen in my art books in the past, I will go to my art book and I'll just pull out the pencil colours and I'll start doing little scribbles trying to blend the pencil colours together to see how they go together. Sometimes I do look to find out sort of earth tone. If I want to do earth tone colours, I may look on Google for inspiration, but then I'll go to my pencil colours, and based on what I've seen, I will go and sometimes I'll actually change those colours slightly, and then I'll try practicing blending them in books or pieces of paper in my colouring book kind of thing, just to see how it works together and try to change that. Like, you'll notice a piece I've been posting recently, that the Book of Beasts, I'm trying to do that with, like, I guess different sort of colour tone palettes and things like that. So like the earth area I'm trying to do with more earthy colours, fire area I'll do with more fire colours, that sort of thing. So sometimes I still will use Google to do the colour palettes too and things like that. So I guess it's not easy for me to actually explain how I choose my colours, because I know a lot of people do get stuck with the colours and choosing colours for their images or what colours they want to use, and so people aren't always happy with the colours they do. For me, I guess it's also about trying to be flexible, but also sometimes, I guess, because I like bright colours, I'll take that risk and I'll just go, oh, I think that could work together, and so I pull out the pieces. But before I do anything on my image, I'll go and use a piece of envelope or a piece of paper or my book, and I'll just do little scribbles and practices with colours and trial things together, see if I can get it to work together. If I need to make a bit of alteration, if it's something that's not quite right to me, but something that's close to being right. So I guess it's very much about trying to be flexible with the colours, but also doing testing upon testing upon testing of those colours before you actually touch the colouring book at all. Because I notice some people get upset because they feel they've wrecked their colouring book because they've gone and just started doing something and then they realise they don't like the pencil colours together. So I guess for me, I try and do a lot of practice with the colouring stuff off camera, I guess you could say. So sometimes I'll do a bit of a practice on camera, as you've noticed sometimes. But for me, it is a lot about trialling those colours off camera. Sometimes I don't even need to do that because it's just, as I've said, and as my mum says to me all the time, it's just a bit of natural talent for me with choosing out there colours kind of thing to go together. So, but if I had to say anything to recommend to people how I choose the colour palettes, it's about sometimes just being flexible, just choosing random things and then just test on pieces of paper, paper before you go and touch your book, so that you can sort of work out if it's colours that you can make work together or colours that you like work together. Sometimes it's just about jumping in and just taking a risk, I guess you could say, with choosing those colours and then testing them to see if it works how you want it to. Don't always feel obliged to choose random colours like me, like neon orange and neon pink together, because some images I've done like neon pink, neon orange, neon yellow together. So you don't have to necessarily go and jump in and grab those out there colours. Like I do, you can just do your tones of blues or your tones of greens or any of that. You don't necessarily have to go all the mix of colours like I do, but the mix of colours is what I like to do, and it's what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing. So that's why I go and do those sorts of colours. I hope that sort of tries and explains a bit more as to how I choose colours and helps you with choosing your colours in the future. But yeah, for me, I would just say, just look at your colours, pick out ones that you think you'd like to put together, and then just test them on paper or in your colouring art, in your art book. Like I've just got a little A5 notepad here that I use, that's art paper that I do tests in and write my pencil colours in and stuff like that for each of my images. But yeah, for me, I would just say choose the colours you think you'd like. If you need to, use Google to get some inspiration and just test before you touch your colouring book. That's what I do a lot of the time. Even when it's a colour palette that I'm fairly certain of, I will do a lot of test with colours. And if you forget to test, but you do a piece and it's not quite the colour you want, still, I guess, then it's about being flexible and stopping and thinking about it and thinking how you'd like to sort of make this change work in the image, rather than just keeping on going and being more and more unhappy with it and going with the original colour choices. It might be about adjusting the colours based on the colour that you've added but you didn't quite like. So yeah, I really hope that helps anyway. And as for the other question people have used, and I'm just keeping an eye on where I'm at with this colour currently whilst describing this. Some people regularly ask how I get the colour depth that I get with the pencils, and I've also noticed people who have shared it with me, and I love your images and I love the fact when you share them with me, because it's really awesome to see those things. And I notice a lot of people are too nervous to share their images with me because they feel it's not up to the same standard as mine, or it's not as deep a colour depth, or they can't get the colours blended as well together and things like that. For me, it did take, I guess, a lot of practice, time, patience, practice, as I said, learning that. Like, I've noticed my colours and blending have improved drastically over these last 3 or 4 years that I've been doing my art and colouring, because I look back at some of my beginning images and they aren't nearly as well blended as the ones I do now. I guess it's about learning to know your pencil colours and mediums. So for me, you'll notice I exclusively seem to stick to pencil colours with what I do, including water-based pencils and normal pencils. Also, I guess it is sometimes, if you need to, going and practicing your shading on a separate piece of paper or something like that, tracing off a bit of an image and practicing your shading on that paper. But also, I guess, it's also about sometimes layers. I guess when you're choosing your colour palette, trying to choose colours that sort of can blend in well together. Like, you notice some of my images, you can sort of see the definition between the shadows and stuff, like with clouds and stuff like that. And it's like, typically those times I'm trying to do it. Like, I can't always get all the colours blended in really well, but you just do the best you can. As for the depth of colour, that is more to do with, I guess, layers, the way you hold your pencil, how hard or soft you press. If you're more of a person who presses softly with your pencil colours, I guess it's more about working on multiple layers, trying to build up those layers gradually at a time. Sometimes I find that I can do it in 1 or 2 layers because I think I press the pencil a little firmer. I don't know if it's also to do with the way I hold the pencil or things like that, but for me, I guess it's also, that's just a bit of naturally how I do the pencil colours. Like, I just naturally like to do that. But I also wonder if it's partly to do with the fact that I seem to start from dark colours or dark shadows and go to light. Like, I notice a lot of people in the YouTube videos I watch, like, yes, even I watch other people's YouTube colouring images and enjoy doing that. But I sort of notice on a lot of other people's YouTube videos that they will start at the light colour and then add in the dark colours on top. And I find for me that doesn't allow me to get as good a blending as going from dark to light. So what I like to do also is I like to start at the dark colours and then eventually gradually move on to the light colours, but I also add the next colour. Rather than leaving the dark colour just that one colour, I will go and add the other colours on top of that dark colour. So I'm building up the depth of the layers as well, and allowing our shading to sort of look more gradual, and that by adding colours onto each dark colour. So like with Medusa's face, I did our black first, then I added a darker green which also went on top of the black, then I did another darker green which also went on top of that green and the black, then I did a lighter green, and so on and so forth. So I find for me that's how I tend to do the colours. Sometimes, if like with the snake's bellies, if I want the scales to stand out with the black or whatever, sometimes I'll add the black on last, like I'll do our shadows as I normally do, but then I go and add the black on, but then I'll go and do a second layer over the top with the blues again and those shadows to sort of get the black looking like it's more graduated in rather than standing out and just being wham bow. You can clearly see where the shadows and lines are. It doesn't look graduated or blended. Like, I've had a lot of people tell me how my pencil work looks like watercolor, and I guess that's just to do with the way that I do the shadows and add the shadows in. And if I do go and add a dark color on top of the other colors, then I'll go and do the other colors again on top of that dark color so that it does look more graduated and blended in, like the watercolor things, I guess. So I hope that helps explain things a bit anyway. I figured since I was doing this as a voiceover and since I had time to fill, I might as well just try and go into that in a bit more detail, because I know I haven't gone into it in a lot of detail in the past. So I really hope that helps anyway. So our next colour is Prismacolor Premier Vermillion Clair PC921, and yeah, that was a mouthful. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm getting a dry throat from all the talking. But yeah, we're nearly 50 minutes into it now. I've got about an hour and 17 minutes of this final part. So this is where I decided basically to cut it down from 4 colours to 3 colours, which I said that I was going to do previously. But I also, as I was just explaining with the shadows, I want to bring this over my Scarlet Lake colour, whilst also leaving spaces for the final colour, but a bit of sort of light shadow area where you can sort of add in your final colour. And so this is how I get my colours to look more graduated and blended as well, and also get the depth and I guess colour brightness and intensity from those colours, because I'm constantly adding colours onto colours onto colours. So that builds up the intensity and the brightness, but it also slightly changes the colours to make them look more unique, I guess you could say. And just do the best you can. As you'll probably notice as you're doing this and adding this colour on, some of these colour tones are very close in colour, because we're not doing definite shadows. So what I sort of wanted was, as I was saying, I wanted to sort of stick with the Halloween-y sort of colours. So basically I decided on oranges for these areas because I felt that would be what would stand out best against the pinks and the greens and stuff like that. I might have said that previously. But I also felt that using black on these leaves just wasn't what I wanted in this part. Like, I've used black for a lot of the shadows in this image, and I just kind of wanted these leaves to pop and be that final bit that is the extra wow factor in this image. So I decided to use colour tones that are quite close together, but that also will stand out. So you'll notice our shadows, our final colour is a really bright colour to try and make those shadows sort of pop more. But I decided on these closer colour tones just because I felt it worked better for the image as it stands. So you don't always need to use a black or a really dark colour. You can try and sort of work close tones as best you can to create the shadows. Sometimes you might need to add another colour in. I don't in this case because I feel it works well how it is. But it's also about trying to work with our light source and trying to have that one final really bright colour that does allow those light sources to stand out compared to the first two colours, so you do get that, I guess, definite light source from the image whilst you're not necessarily having to use blacks or greys or anything like that to create the light shadows. Instead, you're trying to do it by using similar colour tones, but by having that final bright colour, it does allow it to pop, and you can sort of see, I guess, the differences between your shadows and light sources. So that's how I'm trying to work it in here. It doesn't always work out quite as well as you want, but you just do the best you can, but don't feel obliged to have to use blacks or greys or a really dark colour to get your shadows every time. Sometimes you can get those nice shadows just by using a little bit of a close-ish colour tone rather than using close-ish colour tones rather than having to, shall we say, use a black or something to make sure that it definitely stands out, because sometimes the black just isn't what you want for those things. So yeah, it's all about sort of, I guess, playing around with it, and as I mentioned earlier, learning to trust yourself, learning to know that once you have the time, practice, patience, you also know like the skills you're using, how you want to blend things, a bit of the technique you want to use. It's about also learning to trust those skills and judgments, and to also trust your gut instinct as to what colours or features, I guess, you feel is best for the image. So like trusting your gut and your instinct. Like for me in that case, this was going with these images without black. So for not without black for the whole image, but for these little feature details, my gut instinct was, and what my heart was telling me was, don't use black on these areas. It's just going to wash them out. It's going to make them not stand out. So I decided what I felt was better in my gut and my heart was to go with the reddy oranges, and to use that one final bright colour that just makes it pop, and so that you can see your light sources, but so that you can still kind of also see your shadows, as you'll see at the end. But it just it really does, I guess that's what I've had to learn over all these years of my creative process and learning this stuff, is to trust my gut instinct and my heart as to what I feel is best to do based on these images and the shadows and the techniques I'm using and the skills I'm using. And obviously I've still got a lot of learning to do, and I'm still learning all the time. Even though I'm still trying to teach you, I'm still constantly looking at other people's videos thinking, oh, how can I do this? Or looking at backgrounds, and some of my previous personal images that I've been going back and looking at, that I'm now thinking, I wonder if I can do a bit of video on how to do that background on my YouTube channel as like a tutorial for a different type of background. Or, oh, I wonder if I can go in and use that image, this image, in my YouTube, and how can I do that when I've already started the image. And so for one piece that I've got, it's like, it's an Enchanted Fairies piece, and it's like I've used 11 or 12 colours on the water only with my Derwent Inktense pencils. And so it's like thinking about, how can I do that? And then I think about it, and it's like, oh, well, I wonder if I could trace that piece where I've done that bit of colour on the water. And then what I can do is I can practice off camera, work out how I did that process again, because I can't remember because it was a while ago. And then it's like, and then maybe I can use that traced off image, so use the baking paper, trace it off, practice it off camera, and then I can go and use that traced off image and that area, and I can show you how to do that area on camera so that you can then do it in the book, and then I can continue with the rest of the book kind of thing. Or it's like an image that I've started doing in Hannah Carlson's Dagdroma with the unicorn. Like you noticed lately, I haven't been showing you every bit of the background because it takes so long to do my backgrounds. But it's like I'm doing a galaxy style background and I haven't touched the unicorn or anything at all yet. So it's like, well, I can probably do some of that and work some of that into like starting a YouTube video. So I can do part of the background off camera, and then that I've started working on off camera with a personal piece, and then I can bring that onto camera, show you how I do the background, and then we can do the rest of the unicorn and stuff on camera. So I've been trying to think about if I'm able to use some of my personal pieces that I've previously been doing, which I now tend to put the YouTube videos over those, if there's a way of working them into the YouTube videos so that I can still finish them as well, because I eventually want to finish them as well. And obviously I'm still adding to my colouring book collection too. I've just bought at least 14 brand new colouring books. Whoops! Because I figured it was about time to get a few new things as well for future videos. Obviously I've got over 70 odd books. I've nearly got a bookshelf full of colouring books, but I still got more. Whoops. But I figure it's not going to hurt having them there anyway for future videos and stuff, because I'm obviously going to be doing this for a long time. I really enjoy it. I love it so much. And this is where I sort of want to say that for me, art and colouring, and also my book reviews and book unboxings and stuff, it's not only something I love, but it brings me so much joy and is a huge part of my life. And I guess it is like a therapy for me, and it does help me cope in life. As you know, I've got a lot of health problems, I've got a lot of injuries, a lot of issues with things, and I'm trying to find out those things now. But basically, with my last colouring video, I think it was, I was talking to Angel Atlas on YouTube, and we said, I love talking to you all, so I will respond when I can, when I get the videos. Sometimes, for some reason lately, if I don't respond, sometimes YouTube isn't saying that I've got a video or a notification or a comment, and I'm not actually receiving notification of that comment. So even on my YouTube app on my phone, it's not telling me that I can't find your comment or anything. So for some reason, YouTube isn't always notifying me. It's notifying me, but then I can't see the comment at all. So I don't know what YouTube's doing there. But I was talking to her lately on YouTube, and she basically hit the nail on the head perfectly with that. Basically, this is that with this, that our hobbies, aka therapy sessions, basically, is really a lifesaver and a life changer. So it brings us together, I guess, but it also, if we're in difficult situations or not coping, it helps us cope and manage our lives. And that is basically exactly how I feel with my art and colouring, and also my book reviews and book unboxings and readings and stuff. And that's why at times I do the odd update, because I'm really missing doing my art and colouring and my book reviews and book unboxings. And you'll notice that I have been trying to do my unboxings and book reviews as I can, because it's like this. But now I've decided, even with the bung hand and wrist and the fact that it's sore and that, I really love my art and colouring so much, and the book reviews and unboxings. I know for certain that this is something I would want to make a career of, and that's why I'm fully intending on going nowhere. And it's something that I guess I can just keep working towards. So I want to make a career of doing this stuff on YouTube and doing my art in general. It's just, it feels like this is what I'm meant to do with my life, and it took me so long to work this out and find this out, and my love for it all only grows more and more with time. And even though I wasn't forced not to do it, but with my injuries and stuff, I sort of have been forced not to do it due to the hand and wrist issues. And whilst I'm still having a lot of hand and wrist issues and numbness and stuff like that, no love for my art and colouring and book reviews and unboxings and stuff. It's still growing, it's still there like anything. I really love it so much. I've been missing it desperately, and this is why I decided, even with my hand and wrist issues and my foot and ankle issues, I'm attempting to now come back into town, obviously getting help in because I can't do a lot of cooking or anything still. But I realised I wanted to come back into town, back to my internet reception and stuff, so that I can get going on this stuff again as much as I can. Like, obviously I'll still have hand and wrist issues, I'll still be using braces in videos, I'll still be in pain, but I miss it so desperately that I need to do it again. I can't stay away from it any longer. I've been unable to do my art and stuff properly for so long right now, and like, I'm probably going to have to manage it better. I'm going to have to manage it based around my health and my issues and my injuries. And like, I have been really sick lately, like these last couple of months, with like stomach issues and all sorts of things like that. And it is going to be a lot about managing it and working around things, but I can't not do it anymore. I miss it too much. I miss talking to all of you. I miss doing the videos. I miss the colouring. I miss the art. I'm loving doing my book reviews and book unboxings and all that thing, but it's not the same not being able to do my art and stuff, because it's what keeps me sane. It's what keeps me happy. It means too much to me to not do it any longer. And my orthopedic surgeon has said in the past, as long as I change the way I hold the pencil, I use my brace, blah blah blah, even with the issues and the pain, I'm still able to keep doing it, as long as I make those changes. Because if I don't make those changes, it's going to be the difference between me being able to do this long term or not being able to do my art long term. And I want to do my art and colouring stuff long term, and yeah, it's been too long since I've been able to do this, and I need to do it again for my sanity. I missed it so much, and even doing these edits, it's killing my hand and wrist, but I feel alive again, I feel happy again, and that's everything. And so now we're on to our final colour, which is our Prismacolor Premier Orange Neon PC1036, and this is our final bright colour, as I said, to try and get the shadows, and our light source. So you will see it making a bit of a difference here. so you will see that we can see a difference between our shadows and our light source. And hopefully it stands out enough, but I feel it stands out enough, particularly since we're using our red for our shadows rather than our dark colours, but you can see the shadows there, so that works for me. But yeah, as for going back to what I was talking about to do with coming back to all of this, even with hand and wrist issues and blah blah blah, like, it's obviously not going to improve anytime soon whilst I'm still on crutches with my foot and ankle, and I'm on hold with waiting for, I have to get another surgery for my foot and ankle because something to do with my fall and blah 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 caused that to basically not work out as well as it should have, unfortunately. So I'm on hold waiting for to be able to see my orthopedic surgeon and to be able to have that next surgery, because of the fact that she's in Wagga or New South Wales and I'm in Victoria, and due to the COVID-19 stuff and border shutdowns and stuff, I can't go and see her to get MRI results or anything. Fortunately, I saw her about 4 days before and was able to get the referral for the MRI, but I had to go to Wagga to do that. But I've got to wait till I can go to Wagga, see her again, get the results, then we can work out what needs to be done exactly with the next surgery. Then I need to get the next surgery done, and obviously I'm still on crutches all that period and blah blah blah, and as a result my hand and wrist can't improve. And so I've sort of gotten to the point now where it's like, I'm so sick of not being able to do things. I'm obviously going to need a lot of help. I'm going to be having people coming in to help with things like cooking and cleaning and stuff like that at home, because I cannot manage those things myself. It's my hand and wrist. I don't know that I should necessarily be doing a heap of colouring and stuff, so I'm going to have to manage that based on what I'm doing. But at the same time, I just can't not do it anymore. I'm going stir crazy. I've been miserable. I've been just getting very down in the dumps because I can't do the things that I love, and I've realised I just have to do something or I'm just going to keep feeling down and bad and stuff. And that's why I decided I've enjoyed being out with my mum and stuff, but I've realised I just need to go home and I need to try and do this because my confidence is being affected. Everything is being affected just from the fact that I'm not feeling good in myself because I can't do a lot. And that's why I realised, well, I just need to start doing this stuff anyway, even if it does cause a bit of issues, even if it does cause some pain, even if it does cause problems, because it's the difference between me, I guess, coping or not coping at this point. And my art and colouring and my book reviews and unboxings and stuff, they mean the world to me. It's what I love to do in my life. It's what I want to do with my life. And I can't keep going without doing it anymore, basically. Because, as I said, it just means too much to me. It's my sanity, it's my coping method, it's what I enjoy and love in life and what helps me cope with life as well. And what I want to try and make a career of in life. But, yeah, sorry for going into all of that. I'm not trying to get emotional about it, but it really does mean so much to me, and I've really missed doing all of this so much, and I've been so happy since I've been doing all these edits of past videos and stuff like that. Like, I've done quite a few edits, like all these videos were recorded in 2019, but it's worth it for me because of the fact that now I can try and get these uploaded and I can get them shared with you all. And I've realised that I love doing this too much to let a little bit of pain or issues stop me from doing it completely, and I just can't do that anymore because I'm not coping otherwise. So I guess my art and stuff has turned into my coping mechanism, and that's not a bad thing because I'm feeling so happy now getting back to all of this, so it's worth it. But yeah, and I still, as I was talking about previously about having daily content, I'm not saying that's going to happen straight away. There may be periods where there's more daily content than others, there may not, but I want to try and work on eventually having that happen every day of the week. I can't say necessarily that it will happen straight away with the way I currently am and my issues, because it's about also working slow and steady, figuring things out and how to manage it all kind of thing, particularly with my injuries and stuff. But my dream goal in the long term would be able to have daily content going up every day of the week, so like a colouring video or speed colouring video each day of the week, and then book reviews or unboxings on top of that extra kind of thing. That's my dream goal for the future. It's obviously not going to happen straight away. It's a long-term goal. It's obviously not something that's going to happen right now, but it is something that I guess is my final goal in the future for this piece, for not this piece, for my art and colouring channel and stuff like that. That's my future goal for what I want to have happen regularly. Like, I know so a lot of people might get a couple of videos up some people get them up a lot more regularly, others might get up 2 or 3 a month kind of thing. But for me, I want to get it to the point where I have constant videos going up and rotating between different pieces every single day of the week. And obviously it's not all going to happen straight away. It's a long-term goal. It's something to work towards eventually. It's obviously going to be about managing things with injuries and stuff, and based on managing things with injuries and stuff, but also about I guess working within my limitations and stuff as best I can too. But hopefully eventually I'll be able to get ahead and be able to start gradually getting those daily videos going up regularly, that sort of thing, and be able to manage it with my injuries and stuff like that, where I can sort of be at that point where the content's still going up and I've got advanced content in advance and blah blah blah. That's the eventual goal on how I'm going to achieve that long-term goal. It won't happen straight away, but it's something that I can work on gradually over time and hopefully get to that point where I've constantly got content in advance and content going up and blah 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 blah. That's my goal with it all. So, and that's what I want to do, because as I said, I would love to make this sort of a career, or what I want to do in my life. It's what I love doing in my life. So that's my goal with what I'm working towards anyway. And it's because it's what I love doing, and I'm just, I guess, doing the best I can with everything. So yeah, I really hope that you're enjoying it anyway, and yeah, it means a lot to me, and I'm so glad that I started this channel a while ago and started doing this stuff. It's the best thing ever, and I love it so much. So yeah, and I love helping others with it as well, so it's great. Yeah, and it looks like we're coming to the end of our image now. I know it took quite a long time to finish this image, not just with, like, it took a long time to colour it and do all the details and everything, but also I know it took a year or more to get to the final piece, just due to everything that's been going on. But yeah, for me, every minute or hour, it was just so much fun, and it was so worth doing this piece. I really am so proud of how it came out, and I really hope your image came out just as good. I would love to see your images, or please feel free to private message me via Facebook or Instagram if you wish to share your image with me. You don't have to share it publicly or anything, just private message me or something, and obviously keep an eye on my message requests and stuff like that via Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see your image if you do want to share it with me. Don't feel self-conscious or anything. I love all your images. They're all amazing. I love seeing them so much. But yeah, it would be amazing to see what you've done if you've finished this image also. But it's up to you, obviously, as to if you share it or not. And don't feel up. It's obviously not something to be obliged to do. Yeah, I can't believe that it's finally done, but I really, really love it. And yeah, it was so worth doing to me and doing, in my opinion. And yeah, that's another reason why I want to start working more on the daily videos, because I got so many different videos going, but I really want to keep working on all of those and keep having regular content going up for each, so you can keep following along and doing them. But yeah, I really am so happy to be getting back to my colouring and my art stuff and all of that, even with the issues, because it's just, I guess it means a lot to me, and I really do love doing this. I've got a lot of speed colouring still also that I'm currently working on, so obviously there'll be a speed colouring of this. All the videos that you've previously seen go up recently that were real-time only, I'm working on speed colourings for them over time too, so I'm working on getting speed colourings caught up for videos that I've only shared the real-time videos on and off over the last however many months. So I'm working on catching up on speed videos too, so there will be speed colouring videos going up for past videos as well as the real-time. I am staying with that. Obviously, yeah, it's just the time to do it. So I'm working on catching up on those as well currently, because yeah, it's kind of been good in some ways that I've had this, I guess, past recordings to edit and catch up on, because that sort of starts me on the process of being ahead with videos and being able to work on starting, after I get all those speed colorings caught up, start on new videos and, well, continue with the new videos, but also, I guess, work on being ahead with the videos and then starting to add on to those and add on to those and add on to those, sort of to work towards my long-term goal. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed doing this image. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, comment. I always love hearing from you, and I'll obviously respond when I can, unless YouTube messes up your comment.